chamber to the people. Let the voices ring. Laws are made. Debates take the wing.
I know we are going to be reposed with responsibilities.
Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Watch the Senate and the House of Representatives, where decisions flow. The Parliament, the place to know. The Parliament, see power at play. The Parliament, your window into democracy at work, only on Global Television. Hello and welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament, which deliberates on legislative policies from the chambers of the National Assembly to voices shaping Nigeria's democratic journey. Welcome once again. I am Aniti Patrick. Each week, we bring you the latest decisions, debates, and developments from the heart of the legislature, the bills shaping national policy, the motions addressing citizens' concerns, and the oversight actions holding government accountable. On this episode, Senator Uzo Orji Kalu, APC Abia North, says he is pro-American and wants President Donald Trump to help wipe out the jihadists in the country. Senator Kalu stated this while speaking to Senate correspondents on the state of the nation in Abuja. Let's take the report.
Senator Uzo Orji Kalu, who spoke on a number of national issues, acknowledged speaking with two former American presidents and 6 serving senators about insecurity in Nigeria, which he said support the idea. He denied Christian genocide in Nigeria, saying the killing pattern of the terrorists is not aimed at particular faith, and advised the government to do anything within its power to tackle the menace.
See, what Donald Trump said, I will also disclose myself fully. I'm pro-America. So, for anything I will say, know that it will be pro-America. Did what Donald Trump say, is he a lie? The answer is yes. It's not a lie, because Donald Trump said the truth. Nigerians are being killed, whether they are Christians or Muslims. Are they not being killed? If they kill people in Plateau, they go to a church in Plateau, those they will kill are Christians. If they go to Benue, the majority of people they will kill in Benue are Christians. If they go to Zamfara, majority of people they kill in mosque there are Muslims.
Senator Orji Kalu also speaks about the relationship between senators and the Senate president.
The Senate is more interested in making laws that will help President Ahmed Tinubu to overcome the economic problems that our people are going through, and we are more interested. You can see the legislation we are bringing are pro-business. We are more interested in focusing on redeeming Nigerian people to see that they eat 3 times a day.
Senator Kalu confirmed his support for President Bola Tinubu in 2027 elections, acknowledging the fact that he will work for his party APC to win all elected positions in Abia State.
The Senate leader, Senator Opeyemi Bamidele, has dismissed reports of an alleged attempt to remove the Senate's president, Godswill Akpabio, calling them misleading and designed to create unnecessary tension within the National Assembly.
Speaking during plenary, Senator Bamidele clarified that no discussions or plans have taken place among senators regarding Akpabio's removal. He emphasized that the Senate remains united and focused on pressing national matters rather than being distracted by false claims. The clarification came in response to remarks by Senator Orji Kalu of Abia North, who had recently referenced previous unsuccessful attempts to impeach the Senate president. Bamidele reaffirmed that there is no intention within the Senate to consider the removal of any of its leadership members, underlining the chamber's cohesion and focus on governance.
He eventually returned the call, and from my discussions with Senator Orji Kalu, From my discussions with Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, it was obvious to me that it was quoted out of context. And the reason I'm standing up to make this clarification is that there was no attempt by any of our colleagues here. There was in fact no discussion around the possibility or otherwise of the removal of His Excellency Distinguished Senator Godswill Akpabio as President of the Senate. And we are not taking this misinformation for granted, because we know that at this time, it's not only that we are all united behind the leadership of His Excellency Senator Godswill Akpabio as President of the Senate, we are also developing a zero level of tolerance.
The Senate has taken a significant step towards modernizing the country's military legal framework. The Senate passed for second reading a bill aimed at repealing and reenacting the Armed Forces Act with updated provisions to align with Nigeria's constitutional and security realities. The bill, sponsored by Senator Abdulaziz Yaradua, seeks to establish a modern, constitutionally compliant and operational responsive legal framework for the armed forces of Nigeria.
Senator Yaradua explained during plenary that the current Armed Forces Act dates back to military decrees of the 1960s, last consolidated in 2004, and no longer meets today's demands. He emphasized the need to align military governance with democratic accountability and to modernize disciplinary procedures.
Many democracies, Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, including the United States, United Kingdom, and South Africa, have modernized their military laws to ensure justice, accountability, and professionalism. Nigeria cannot afford to lag behind. This bill therefore places our military legal system in step with global best practices.
Senator Ali Ndume from Borno South lends his support, describing the reform as long overdue.
This is what this bill is trying to do, to update the laws, subject the armed forces to civil rule, and also improve on human rights, protection, and others, and efficiency.
Senator Tahir Mangono called the bill a necessary move to bring military authorities under democratic control, while Senator Samson Ekong of Akwa Ibom South called it a profound step to deepen the nation's defense policy framework.
Seeks to subject military authorities to the command of the commander-in-chief, that is democratically elected president.
Global weights behind this bill as part of a wider process of reform that will deepen the contents of our military law and jurisprudence.
Deputy Senate President Barau Jibri, who presided over the session, put the bill to a voice vote. He later referred it to the relevant committees on Defense, Army, Air Force, and Navy, directing them to report back within 4 weeks. The bill now awaits further committee review before advancing to the next legislative stage.
A bill for an act to establish the Artificial Intelligence Innovation and Communication Technology Solutions Center in Ekiti has also passed for second reading. The bill was sponsored by Senator Adara Modu Adeyemi, APC Ekiti South.
Leading the debate on the bill, Senator Adaramadu Adeyemi said the bill is to promote research development and application of artificial intelligence and emerging technologies for national development. Senator Adeyemi said that the bill will provide the necessary legal framework to build capacity, coordinate innovation, and ensure that AI serves as a tool for national development rather than displacement. He also says the bill represents an important step towards securing Nigeria's place in the global technological landscape and aligns with the country's national goals of youth empowerment, job creation, and economic diversification.
The debate on this very latently omnipotent bill seeking to establish the Artificial Intelligence Innovation and Communication Technology Solutions Center in Ekiti State. This bill was read for the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 27th May 2025. It is a manifest actuality that we know that the world today is being transformed by artificial intelligence, digital innovation, and emerging technologies that have become the backbone of modern governance, commerce, education, healthcare, and national security. Nations that fail to invest strategically in these technologies risk being left behind.
The bill was supported by some senators, including Senator Aliyu Wadada.
At the space of the world, we must conform, especially that greater percentage of the population in Nigeria are the youth. And the various categories or strata of the society, the youth utilize technology much more than any other strata. And for us to put into full production, to leverage on the endowment that we have of that population, AI is the order of the day.
The session was presided over by the Deputy President of the Senate, Jibrin Barau, and also he acknowledged the importance of AI. The bill was referred to the Senate Committee on Internet Communication and Technology and Cybersecurity for further legislative input.
The Senate has also approved President Bola Tinubu's request to raise 1.15 trillion naira from the domestic debt market to finance the unfunded portion of the 2025 budget deficit.
The approval came after the Senate adopted a report from the Committee on Local and Foreign Debt during plenary session. The report highlighted that the 2025 Appropriation Act sets total expenditure at nearly 60 trillion naira, an increase of 5.25 trillion over the initially proposed 54.74 trillion naira. This budget expansion resulted in a deficit of 14.10 trillion naira. Of this, 12.95 trillion naira has already been approved for borrowing, leaving an unfunded gap of approximately 1.15 trillion naira, which the Senate has now authorized to be raised domestically.
Recommendation 1, that the Senate do approve Mr. President's request to establish a 1 trillion 150 billion naira borrowing program in the domestic debt market to close the unfunded deficit gap created by the increase in the budget size over and above the prior approved revenue and borrowing plans. Those in favor of these recommendations say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
In another move, the Senate adopted a motion by Senator Abdul Ningi mandating the Committee on Appropriations to intensify oversight over the implementation of borrowed funds. He said the committee is tasked to ensure that the money is used effectively within the 25 fiscal year and strictly for the intended purposes.
That the Committee of Appropriation should ensure that the borrowing is actually made for the purpose of which is required before the Senate. That the borrowing, the Appropriation Committee should ensure that the borrowing is made for the purposes of which that the Appropriation Committee should ensure that the borrowing is actually to fund the 2025 appropriation.
This decisive legislative action underscores the Senate's commitment to fiscal responsibility and transparency as Nigeria navigates its 2025 budgetary challenges.
Meanwhile, the Senate's Committee on Public Accounts has written to all commercial banks to provide details for the revenue generated as stamp duty from 2016 to 2024. Senator Aliyu Wadada stated this during a news briefing in Abuja.
Senator Aliyu Wadada said the committee has written to all commercial banks, including the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, as well as Federal Inland Revenue Service, to provide information about stamp duty collected from 2016 to 2024. He said this step was taken to enable the federal government to have more funds to execute programs in the country. He said the affected banks have up to 25th of this month to provide details. He disclosed that the involvement of CBN is to explain how much has been collected from those commercial banks and how much has been remitted into the Treasury Single Account TSA.
Had a meeting and looked into the commitment of this administration as to generating and maximizing revenue so as to enable it discharge its responsibilities effectively to provide for the needs of the citizens of the country.
The senator representing Cross River North, Jarigbe, Agom Jarigbe, has resigned his membership with the People's Democratic Party, PDP, to join the All Progressives Congress, APC.
Senator Jarigbe Agom Jarigbe cited internal crisis within PDP among the reasons for his defection to join the ruling party. Addressing newsmen soon after plenary, Senator Jarigbe said President Bola Tinubu has made a significant improvement in governance that inspired his defection.
I don't think there will be a time that the party will complain of having too many people. And it doesn't mean that if we are all in the same party, there will be no dissenting views on critical issues of national importance.
He promised his constituents of radical development into the zone.
Let's take a breather here, and on the flip side of this program, we'll bring you more unfolding of legislative proceedings at the Great Chamber before its adjournment of plenary. Welcome back. Staying with defections, it was a day of cheers and political realignment in the House of Representatives as former lawmaker and key political figure from Kano State, Abdulmumin Jibrin and Segil Koki, officially announced their defection from the New Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, to the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC. This move has stirred excitement within the APC fold, especially among party loyalists from Kano State. The announcement came during plenary at the House of Representatives, a moment that sparked jubilation among members of the ruling All Progressives Congress. Reading the letter on the floor, a visibly elated Speaker Tajuddin Abbas described Abdulmumin Jibrin as a man of principle, one who calls a spade a spade. In his letter, Jibrin cited lingering divisions and unresolved internal crisis within the NNPP as reasons for his defection. He said the development had made it nearly impossible for him to effectively represent the people of Kiru Bebeji Federal Constituency in the House.
I wish to formally inform you and the entire Honorable House of my decision to resign my membership from the New Nigerian People's Party and to join the All Progressive Congress APC with immediate effect.
The declaration triggered chants of solidarity and applause from APC lawmakers and drew notable reactions from party stalwarts watching closely from Kano. Among those celebrating the move is former APC National Chairman and now the Chairman of Fan Board, Dr. Abdullahi Umar Ganduje, who described Jibrin's return as a homecoming of value and loyalty.
As part of our blueprint to make Kano State a one-party state, we have continued taking House of Representative members and senators into our party.
The defection adds to the growing wave of political shifts in Kano ahead of 2027, signaling renewed momentum for the APC in the state. It was a busy day at the House of Representatives as lawmakers debate two major motions, one on abandoned federal assets worth trillions of naira and another on the near collapse of Nigeria's once booming rice industry. Lawmakers are raising alarms over what they describe as a monumental economic waste. Over 11,800 federal government buildings and landed properties abandoned across the country, valued at more than 20 trillion naira. The motion, sponsored by Minority Leader Kingsley Chinda, pointed to a report by the Nigerian Institute of Quality Surveyors, which found that nearly 63% of federal building projects initiated since independence remain incomplete or deserted. Among the abandoned projects cited are the Federal Secretariat in Ikoyi, the Millennium Tower and National Library in Abuja, and the Cardinal Textile Building, among others.
The House is most humbly urged to set up a special ad hoc committee of the House to review the PIC report conducted in year 2000, as well as verify reports of other properties abandoned since year 2000 in order to identify the state of these properties and report infractions, determine and make recommendations for final resolution.
Lawmakers blame bureaucratic delays and lack of transparency, noting that a committee set up in 2000 to account for government properties has yet to submit its report 25 years later. After debate, the House resolved to set up a special ad hoc committee to verify the status of the properties and review the 2000 Presidential Implementation Committee reports within 6 weeks. In another motion, the House also turned its attention to the collapse of local rice farming and milling, warning that recent import waivers and smuggling are threatening food security and livelihoods. Mohammed Jajere, who sponsored the motion, said the 180-day duty waiver for imported rice has crippled demand for locally produced brands, forcing many mills to shut down. He added that inconsistent policies have discouraged farmers and reversed the gains made under previous administrations.
That frequent changes in government policies have disrupted the agricultural production value chain, making it challenging for farmers to plan for the future. Concerned that if this is not addressed appropriately, the country may be losing billions of naira due to the closure of most of these rice mills.
The House has directed its Committee on Agricultural Production and Services to investigate the matter and report back within 4 weeks. As the probe commences, Nigerians will be watching to see whether these investigations finally translate into accountability and revival of key national assets. Also, the House of Representatives is taking a hard look at oil and gas companies accused of shortchanging their host communities. Lawmakers say the firm has failed to remit the mandatory 3% of their annual operating expenditure as required by the Petroleum Industry Act of 2021. The resolution followed a motion raised by Hart Godwin, who said many oil and gas firms are yet to comply with the Host Communities Development Trust Fund provision, a key feature of the Petroleum Industry Act, designed to ensure that all producing communities benefit directly from exploration activities. Under Section 240 of the Act, each oil company is required to contribute 3% of its annual operating expenditure into the fund, while Section 236 mandates that such trusts be incorporated within 12 months of the Act's commencement. But Godwin told the House that several operators have either ignored these provisions or failed to remit the funds, leaving host communities in neglect and hardship.
Mandate the Committee on Host Communities to investigate the failure of regulatory agencies to act decisively.
The House has now directed its Committee on Host Communities to investigate both the oil companies and the regulatory agencies responsible for enforcing compliance and report back within 4 weeks. In a related development, lawmakers also resolved to probe the financial dealings of NNPC LNG Limited. The House Committee on Gas Resources is to examine the operations and remittances of NNPC LNG Limited, a Cayman Island registered subsidiary of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, amid allegations of unreported financial transactions and possible revenue losses to the federal government. Lawmakers expressed concern over deductions from liquefied natural gas proceeds allegedly made without due authorization or disclosure.
Without a formal notification, disclosure, or approval of the federal government, thereby raising serious concerns of financial improprieties.
Are expected to submit their findings within 4 weeks, part of what lawmakers describe as renewed efforts to enforce transparency and accountability in Nigeria's oil and gas sector. The House of Representatives has raised two urgent national issues, one on the looming concerns over WAEC's planned computer-based testing system and another on massive revenue leakages from tax waivers and incentives. The House has now resolved to investigate both matters, citing their potential impacts on the nation's youth and economy. Lawmakers expressed alarm over the plan by the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, to introduce computer-based testing for the 2026 examinations. They warned that the move could lead to massive failure among students, especially those from the rural areas with limited access to computers or stable electricity, potentially triggering depression and other mental health concerns. The House therefore resolved to urge WAEC to suspend the plan and adopt a gradual transition model, ensuring that schools and candidates are adequately prepared before any full rollout.
House is also aware that most of the schools in the urban areas and in the rural areas do not have functional computers, nor computer teachers, and as a result, they have not used computers before.
In another motion, members turned their attention to the nation's revenue crisis, revealing that Nigeria loses over 8 trillion naira annually through tax incentives, waivers, and exemptions. They said the abuse of these incentives by some companies and the mismanagement by government agencies are starving the country of funds needed for infrastructure, healthcare, and education. The House consequently resolved to set up an ad hoc committee to probe the administration of tax waivers and exemptions granted between 2015 and 2025 and recommend reforms to plug leakages and improve transparency.
The House resolves to constitute an ad hoc committee to investigate the administration and impact of tax waivers, exemptions, and incentives granted by the government between 2015 and 2025.
Two motions, one House, both pointing to the need for fairness and accountability from the classroom to the nation's treasury. And that's the size of the program, The Parliament. Thank you so much for being a part of this edition. I hope you had an amazing time with us. Until the next time, when we come your way on The Parliament, don't forget that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and on Star Times channel 276. To stay connected, kindly follow us across all our social media platforms using @Global TV NG. Thank you to my production team. Until the next time, I am Anieti Patrick. Bye for now.